What's up guys, it's your boy Miguel here to give you your daily dose of radiation. In today's video we are covering another 7 on 7 off series. So to give you context, I am a night shift Xray tech, work at a trauma 3 ER, and I will show you what it's like. So there's been a few changes compared to the original first one we made. So cutting back on some hours, and it'll affect a little bit, and there's a different hour. So it used to be 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. Now we're rolling at 8:30 p.m. and we get off around 7 in the morning. We run those for about all the way till Saturday night, and then from Sunday all the way to Tuesday we run the 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. shift. Will change a little bit different. We'll see how that goes. So first thing, we wake up, take the kids to school, did that, helped the lady, which is a nurse, did her things. Now it's up to me to continue my part of the day. So for the most part, it's pretty chill. It's pretty the same. Here we are, we'll be meal prepping. We have our rice, we have our breakfast, which we'll do the little oatmeal and peanut butter situation. But besides that, everything else has been done. We may have to like take care of the dogs, check on the dogs, because I live in Texas and right now it's July, super hot, and we're about to go to the gym, for health and wellness, because you need to stay in pretty good shape, because this field of radiology, the things you do, I would say it does take a toll on your body, especially if you don't keep up with a little bit of health. I would say it has helped me significantly being in better shape. You can check out my older videos. You can see how I was and now, currently to now, doing pretty good. So highly recommend getting your health in and staying in shape, because there'll be some big boys, especially here in America, deal with big people. So for right now, we'll be heading on to the gym. There's not much changed from the last one. I will say that since today is day one, we have to readjust everything and get it ready for the night shift. So for some people that don't have many things, Miguel has a lot of things he has to set up, because I bring a lot of things to work to make my life easier, which I always have my little bags. We have our, the bag right there, and then we have the little duffel bag, which has all my seat cushions, because majority of the places you work at have not the best chairs. And I have noticed over my years of doing this, the more leaner I've gotten, the less body tissue I have, and since I do not have that much body tissue, it hurts like where you sit. So I was not blessed, I guess, to have some, some adipose tissues back there, but it does help. Even some of the little, even for like postures and stuff, it does help getting a little chair. The little seat cushions, probably like $20 to $50, depending on what kind of seat cushions. I use it even here at home. Highly recommend it. Good investment, saves your back, and overall, make you more comfortable at work if they allow you. Because most people who work in this field, you don't have your little office, you don't have your little section, you're just in a little section in the radiology department, and everyone kind of shares the place. So like kind of like one of these, what I have here in my truck, has good, seat cushions. For me, a lot of my tension is in the coccyx area, because it always hurts at work, so this helps tremendously. Not sponsored, but this is what I enjoy. Probably every year I got to switch them out, because the seat cushion will, But besides that, heading off to the gym as we start our beautiful journey of the 7 on 7 off. Alrighty guys, so we have arrived here to the Iron Asylum Gym, a very hardcore style gym here in the beloved East Texas in the 903. About to hit some back and some legs. Once again, I will highly recommend it to anyone. Once you get your Xray money, some bows. I love it. I've always been wanting them since I was a broke college student. Highly recommend. As far as for me, noise canceling, I'm a very antisocial person for the most part. I don't like to, you know, deal too much with the public outside of work. So like these help me just isolate. Even here, they will be blasting music, and for the most part, it does keep out all of the sounds and everything, and you just kind of lock in. And so for today, for Miguel, we are hitting some back and legs, which for me is the most hardest part, since I'm currently in a caloric deficit, and this one is always the most like hardest to push through. And right now we're still at 100% as far as like, we'll call it the battery, as far as like mental energy and stuff like that, or just, you know, overall we're still good. I will say throughout the, like you see throughout the video, you'll see like both the overall energy and stuff will drain down since night shift, and the overall physical energy as far as at the gym will drop down. So right now it should be the easiest lift, because once we start working, there will be like, even me lifting weights, like I'll probably say a 20% decrease in the amount of energy and stuff I can do at the gym too, because like the forearms will be fried, and even like the wrists and stuff will start aching a little bit, and you have to take it a little bit easier on the gym. Hey guys, so it's currently 9 o'clock and we just finished our workout, probably 30-40 minutes of working out, and then we're gonna go home, eat some breakfast, and then we have part 2 of the gym, which is our cardio, because we're trying to get shredded. So we shall continue on to the next adventure. Overall, good workout. Highly recommend anyone doing it. Even something, just walking, doing something, because I know a lot of people in our healthcare are like, yo, well, I went to work, Miguel, I'm tired, I don't feel like it, or I got a lot of steps in, Miguel, I did this. I would say yes, for the most people, it's like, if you have the time. There's people who don't have time. I mean, if I would to use that excuse that I don't have time, I have a pretty busy schedule, and for the most part, I'm willing to give up some sleep to be able to, you know, lift weights, do whatever I gotta do, because with 2 little gremlins or goobers in the back, it does take a lot of toll on you as far as, you know, other responsibilities and stuff like that. But here we are leaving the asylum. I would highly recommend anyone working out, getting it done, lifting weights, doing anything, because it is very important for your health and your longevity, and it helps tremendously at work. But anyways, so we will go home, you'll eat breakfast, we'll have some multivitamins, and then we'll do cardio, and then we have a few other errands to run. I would say for me personally, by Wednesday, which is my first night back, we'll either go in 1 or 2 boats. It'll either be, we will sleep some, don't sleep at all, or we'll sleep a lot. So it's one of 3 phases. And today it kind of looks like we'll just sleep a little bit, maybe 2 to 3 hours at most is probably what we're gonna get today, just because of things we got going on. And on your first night back, you can kind of get away with it depending on how busy or hectic the rest of the week was. For me, it was a pretty chill week, because I just recently came back from vacation from Cancun, which was a wonderful little 2 weeks over there. Which I will say, I was testing a theory of how tired I would be when I first came back while being well rested from a vacation. I am not a night shift person. Technically, I'll be asleep by 8 or 9 p.m. and I'll always be super tired, and I won't want to stay up super late. My lady can testify that. And I noticed I went back my first night, coming back from vacation, well rested, right? Around 2 a.m., this is no caffeine, no nothing. Just pure, just to test my body. 2 a.m., my body started hitting it. I was not used to being without caffeine. So I quickly realized you need back to caffeine, a little coffee, a little something to push yourself through it. I've always wanted to test it because I never got to really test that on my own body. I mean, there's other people who can do it without caffeine. Me personally, because I am in a deficit and I don't sleep as well as other people, I would say. I don't get my 6 to 8 hours sleep, especially during night shift. Is a little bit less because I got stuff going on. It is a little bit more taxing on your body. Obviously, it's not the best situation, but sometimes you're busy and you still got stuff to do. It's just part of life, I suppose. Alrighty, for breakfast, it's the same thing, you guys. It's like, once again, just some oatmeal, some peanut butter. We do about 4 of these. I mean, for the most part, I kind of eat the same thing, just out of the bodybuilding / just habit. Makes it easier, get it in and out, get fiber, a little bit more nutrients than you McDonald's or whatever else you got going on. I mean, I would say I'd probably eat this when I'm off, and then when I'm working my night shift, like tomorrow, for instance, it will kind of change a little bit because when I'm at work overnight, the way I eat kind of fluctuates and changes a little bit just because of the hours and how full and all that stuff. We do about 2 servings of peanut butter because I noticed depending if I eat too much or I eat too little, it's hard to go to sleep, or even just how the digestive system of my body works because it flips. So what usually will happen is when I'm at work, I'm lucky enough that my work has snacks and other things for us people who work in the emergency room in the hospital. They have some stuff up there that will kind of supplement some of these calories and food like that, and it's easier to digest my food because I notice if I eat too much, then about the 2 a.m. mark, I will be struggling at work. My head will be nodding, so sometimes I've noticed if I spread out my food, it makes it a little bit easier on me. And I mean, when you can eat at work for free, I mean, why not take advantage of it? But here we are, once again, 64 grams of peanut butter, and then we put a little bit of water, and then probably some multivitamins, and then we'll go do our cardio. And I have some electrolytes because in Texas right now it's sitting about 100 all the way to 105 degrees. So it is hot, a lot of sweaty going on here for me personally. And it doesn't help that my gym is hardcore. It doesn't have AC. So as long as you stay hydrated, you should be pretty good. Upgrades I've made since the last time we've seen me. We've got some new tires for the truck. She's very nice. I enjoy. It was a Father's Day gift from the nurse. Lucky her. Be nice to me for the first time. I mean, even though she forgets radtech week, but I'll let it slide. You know, she did make up with it. Which I ain't gonna lie, for a truck, tires are expensive. Even just like some basic ones, like if you're not getting nothing fancy, they run about like, I want to say like 300 and above just each tire. Like these are a little bit more, I guess, premium or a little bit more thicker than the other kind of tires. So I think she spent like $1,000 and some change, which is a lot of money. So I'll let it slide, her forgetting the radtech week, you know. But overall, I'm pretty happy. Here we are. So far, we are on the plan. We're doing pretty good right now. We're gonna go do some cardio. For Miguel, we are running about an hour. We used to do an hour and 30 minutes, but we're slowly getting to our ideal weight, and both for my health and wellness, we're gonna pull back that extra 25 minutes because it did toll on me a lot because we were doing so much and we got a lot of stuff going on. So we're gonna pull it back just to an hour, just to help Miguel, either do more stuff outside of the house or just get a little bit more sleep and make it easier on me, because it is kind of putting a toll on my body since I've been in a caloric deficit since I graduated from Xray tech school, which was in 4 years, almost 4 years ago. So probably 3.5-ish years of cutting, which we're doing pretty good, I'd say. We started at 345 pounds, and right now we're sitting about, I think 215 to 210 is the range right now. So we're doing pretty good. It has helped tremendously. So, I mean, the cardio is just a simple walk. I mean, it's like a 3.6 speed on the treadmill. Nothing too crazy. We do go to a different gym for this, one that has AC. So we do technically have 2 gym membership, but this one is just like a basic $10 Club 4 membership. Nothing fancy. I do enjoy the other one because, like, the Iron Asylum, right now I've noticed there's been an influx of people coming in to, like, there's been a slight boost in the health fitness world, I think, in a couple of years. So we have a lot more, as I call them, NPC people showing up. And essentially NPC people are regular people outside of, like, the healthcare world. That's what I call them. So it gets, like, super busy and packed, and I don't like dealing with a lot of people outside of work. So at the Iron Asylum where I work out, it's like a hardcore gym, no AC. It's only like true people who kind of take lifting more serious, and it's slightly more expensive, which is not a flex or anything. It keeps, like, the regular people out, because I've worked out at my regular this gym right here. A lot of the times, a lot of people just stay on their phone and they're not really working out. It's more of a social vibe place. For me, I want to be in and out, just get it done and keep it pushing to the next activity. And at the Iron Asylum, I'm able to do that, knock it out real quick, no issues, no one in my way. And they have so much more machines for my ideal thing I want to achieve. But here we are. Currently it is 9:42, so once again probably an hour here. And cardio, it's currently 10:49, so we're gonna get our food ready, we're gonna eat, and we will prep the truck and everything I gotta get ready for work, and just to get it ready. And we have a few errands we gotta do, and then maybe, hopefully, may get a little bit of sleep. So for our first night, so far everything's looking good. Nothing in the group chat that says that the system's gonna go down, because as a night shift Xray tech, one of the biggest things you deal with, which, you know, more money, more problems, is the downtime and any system issues that happens or updates that happens overnight, or just doing manually, entering all the patient information and stuff like that. That's something that we have to deal with. So everything so far is okay, but usually we always get, like, once or twice a month we'll get hit with some of those. And then there's the random ones that it just happens because of network issues or whatever they have going on at the hospital. But I'm gonna go take a shower and we'll start eating, and we'll get everything. Is what I eat for, I guess you could consider this lunch. It's 11. We're having our broccoli, our vegetables, some chicken, some rice, probably some little hot sauce, and we'll probably have a little salad, probably carrots or lettuce or something. You know, health, wellness, fitness, all that good jazz. Probably sitting about 8 ounces of chicken, 280 grams of rice, some broccoli. Do you well for the week. So typically I meal prep for the most part, all my food, have it ready. It's just one less thing you got to deal with, especially being tired. Right now I'm fine, I'm good. You hear me, full of energy, we still good, you know. But slowly over the rest of the 7, you will see how my body or my energy little thing will go down real quick. And it all kind of depends on the doctors and on who you work with and what's going around your city, because the workflow and everything changes drastically depending on what's going on. So Right now, it looks like Miguel will not be with his regular partner. He'll be working with someone else, which is, I think that's our assistant manager or one of the upper techs. That's who I will be working with. Changed a little bit the work dynamic, but you know, they are upper management, so shouldn't have any problems. And if anything happens, I'd be like, yo, they can help you out because they're upper management or whatever. So probably no naps today at work because you know the other people, bigger people, can't confirm nor deny that. But it's pretty chill. Probably with some water, a little hot sauce. I mean, that's really it. I mean, it's pretty simple, pretty boring for most people. I'd say for me, it gets the job done. Because if you think about it, every day, there's always the choice of, do I make my food or do I spend money on food that's mostly unhealthy? Like majority of our food, like even close by, it's a lot of fast food and a lot of unhealthy food. And depending on your financial situation, you could technically buy food. Like I could go to Panda Express, Chipotle, whatever, get a decent, healthiest meal that could, you know, supplement what I got right here, but it costs a little bit more money. Now, depending on how much money you got, it'd be easier, or if you don't have time. Me personally, I would recommend, and I always have some, if I don't have time to meal prep, or if I don't have, like, busy with kids and stuff, I have what I call my emergency situation. Is I have my frozen, already cooked chicken, and we got some frozen broccoli, and then we have like some of the, well, the rice don't take that long. It's like maybe 5 minutes to cook in the rice cooker. Or we have our little emergency little packets of like rice that I have. It costs a little bit more money, but I have those in case something happens. Maybe the kids are sick, or it's one of those days that we have a lot of stuff going on. It does save me from like still eating healthy, still being okay. I mean, I think like it's maybe $6-7, which counts for both of my lunch and dinners. So it's not too much compared to me making it, meal prepping and all of that. So it does help a little bit. It's something to consider. I know a lot of people don't like eating the same thing over and over. It gets boring, tired, like my wife, who's a nurse, does. Me personally, I just do it out of simplicity, makes it easier, and I know there's one less thing to worry about, right? So I'm gonna eat this, and then I have a few dad stuff or tasks I gotta do, and also prep for the night shift duty. Since today is day one of heading into work, we got to get everything ready for work. So, as always, we got a bunch of things in here. Got all my gym stuff. But in here is what helps us make work a little bit more easier, as I already told you on the other video. We have the bag, the gym bag, which has all my seat cushions and stuff like that. Preparing for day one takes a little bit longer than the rest of the days. So we got that, and then we need our beloved Xray Tech bag. We used to have one from college. Had to upgrade it to, I believe it's called the Wolf Pack. I ain't hear much from that company until I saw the Jurassic Park one, and I thought it was pretty cool. So here we have all my mouses and other devices and stuff like that makes the job a little bit more easier. So highly recommend anyone who's in this game of you want to push the button, try to prep, make your life a little bit easier. I know if you work daytime, it's a little bit different because you have other stuff going on, and depending on your facility and what you got going on over there, there's more people and you can't set up like I do, like at work, because it's just me and one other person, and we got like 6 monitors. I'm able to kind of use double monitors, make my little setup a little bit more easier compared to most people. And then besides that, we have the lunchbox, once again, another one. And then we have the water jug up there. And that's really about it as far as like prepping and stuff like that. Maybe the food and stuff, but that will be later on. And we're gonna go do some dad stuff. For some of you guys who are curious and you're like, Miguel, after doing X-rays for 4 years, do you still enjoy, pushing the button, going doing X-rays? Was it everything you wanted, when you were a student? Overall, I would say yes, I am quite happy, and I would say I am more than fortunate enough to be in a position where I can, provide for my family, and I'm able to go to work, get stuff done over there, and still find it enjoyable. As you can see from my channel logo and all the stuff I have of the Jurassic Park, I genuinely do enjoy bones. Obviously, that wasn't the game plan. It was always, to look at dinosaur bone and be an archaeologist. But, this is pretty close to looking at bones every day. I do genuinely enjoy it. There's other people they're like, yo, Miguel, this job sucks. I hate it. It's the same thing over. It gets very repetitive. And some people, it's not for them. They don't enjoy dealing with, doing chest x-rays all the time because it gets boring, or dealing with the patients, or they get burnt out in radiology. Me personally, I enjoy it. It is, obviously, I will say the only time that I can kind of not really get sick of radiology, but it kind of gets to you, is when you're running crazy amount of overtime. Then it's slowly your, morale, or your, I'm not sure. It's more on like the patient stuff. Like you are constantly at work, constantly dealing with people and their problems, and they're bringing it to you, and you sit there, get it done, talk to them, get the x-ray, boom. And then you just do that over and over and over. I would say probably the only time it kind of got to me a little bit was when I was doing like the crazy 26 nights straight of just straight night shift. And I did that for like 6 to 7 months, I think. It was just like a crazy run of overtime because like the opposite crew didn't have anyone working. Well, we were down one night tech on the opposite crew, so I was doing that. I think that was the only time where it kind of got to me a little bit. I never, talked bad to a patient, or I never did anything else, but I just saw it like how I slowly saw myself kind of transforming and going into the dark side. But once I got off of like crazy amount of overtime and I was able to sleep, get back to a more regular work, it kind of, healed by itself. But that was like the only time that it kind of got to me. But I ain't gonna lie, the money was wild. I think the most amount of money I've made was during that era. $5,000 was every paycheck. Which did that to me, being someone who grew up with an immigrant family, and it was wow. I've never made that much money in my life. I remember just staring at the paycheck and then looking at old Miguel back in college, doing this for hopes and dreams to hopefully make it one day, and I'll be like, you made it. Like, this is amazing. I mean, it did come a little bit of a price, because like you were working crazy amount of hours, but I genuinely did enjoy it. I remember every day going to work kind of happy because you could provide for your family, you can upgrade stuff, you can do literally whatever you want to do with your life. That's the beauty of finishing school, because like when you're in school, you're so like structured into just like trying to survive. You're like, I'll finish this school and it will help me solve a bunch of problems, and then you're so focused on what you got to accomplish. And it almost took me like probably about a couple years of just grinding it out to get to a point where I felt pretty comfortable. Because I remember the first 2 years of working, it was just like you're broke, you're college, you're money, you're hungry, you want to, do it all. And I was doing it all. And right now, because of the kids and all that, I've kind of had to push back a little bit during certain aspects of the season because of the cold, the winter, and stuff like that. I'll pull back because the little kids will get sick. And if I'm working day shift, because most of the shifts that are open are in the day shift, who's going to watch the kids? So I technically have to pull back a little bit because of them. But the summertime right now it's July. Right now it's pretty okay. We can maybe pull a little bit, but I maybe probably September to October I will pull back as far as overtime goes, because majority of the times during the winter months, everyone in my house gets sick, like everyone else does. COVID, flu, whatever stuff you get. Which I will say, being someone who works at the hospital and you're around a bunch of stuff, I don't know how much immunity you build, or you're just more precautious. I still can't tell, because sometimes the rest of my family gets sick and I don't get sick, or I don't get sick as bad. But then again, I don't know. I've slowly transformed my body into being more healthy, vitamins, and taking better care of myself. So it could be that. I'm still not sure. But I would hope to think that you kind of build an immunity a little bit, dealing with all the stuff that happens up here. So but overall, I do enjoy it. It is quite rewarding at times. And thinking, like, I have other family members who also have their own degrees and their own stuff. Like, I have one who's an accountant. I have another family member who does ultrasound from my lady's side. And, there's other, respectable, credentials or careers they have. And I would say, me personally, I don't know if I could be a person who goes and does kind of an office, corporate, little cubicle type of, I am technically in a little section, but it's not like a corporate suit and tie like type of structure. Like, it's a little bit different because I wander around the hospital. But I don't know if I could do that. It would just kind of get to me. Or even like speaking to my family members who will do that, and they deal with, like, we do technically deal with upper management, but not that much at nighttime. But I would say that a lot of them kind of get sick of just like the corporate structure of, this is the thing you have, like, there's certain quotas and there's certain stuff you gotta meet, and there's certain, like, obviously with our field, like, it gets very like, if you're looking at it from someone who doesn't do healthcare, it can seem very scary because you're dealing with people's life. You have, like, high liability. I'm dealing with radiation, a bunch of stuff. It can seem scary. But, like, I'm never in a point where my manager is like, yo, we got to get so many x-rays on your shift, or yo, there's a certain quota, there's a certain thing. Obviously, we have certain workloads and certain responsibilities, but there's no, like, set it's just whatever comes in, you do it to the best of your ability, and that's it. Like, I don't have to ever be worried about productivity as far as, like, reaching a certain quote. It's just kind of the video game. Every shift kind of repeats. It's like it resets. You kind of do the same thing, and I'm never, like, if I do 1 x-ray or if I do 50, paycheck's still going to be the same. Like, it's like there's no urgency. It's just more of a, can I perfect my craft and become a better x-ray tech, follow the ALARA, reduce the amount of exposures, and try to, optimize it and get it on the least amount of images possible to get, the best stuff. That's kind of what you follow. You see yourself in. compared to like other people that have a family who like works in banks or works in other stuff, and they're constantly stressing about having to meet deadlines or having to do stuff, and it just kind of, they get stressed and they're dealing with other stuff. Or even other people with other healthcare careers, I see them, like for instance my lady who's a nurse, she's over here, I'll see her go to work, do her little nursing stuff, and then come home dealing with like all the patients' charts, because she does home health charting, following up with like doctor offices and other stuff like that, with medications, calling to schedule patients, and doing a bunch of stuff. And like deep in my mind, I'm like, dang, like you do a lot. Like I'll respect nurses, and I'll respect for anyone who does more like patient care stuff than I do, because like with my job, like I don't have to ever have to worry about like taking work outside of my like home. Like there's never anything that follows me. Like I'll go to work, show up, push my button, do whatever task I gotta do, and then when I leave work, that's it. I don't have to worry about anything. Like I don't have to worry about tomorrow, the next day, whatever. Like I don't ever have to worry about that. The most worrying comes from like, do we got the good machine? Is there gonna be downtime? Like as far as like the system. But it's pretty good gig. I do enjoy it. I'm blessed. I'll always be honest with y'all guys. Like I'm just, you know, I'll never flex. It's like never a flex. I'm just keeping it brutally honest. You'll never be rich. You'll never be poor. You'll just live a pretty good, comfortable life. And I'm fortunate, you know. Even now with like they're cutting back our hours and they're switching up our schedule, I think it may drop the paycheck by like $200 and some change dollars, which, you know, for some people that are working, living paycheck to paycheck, it could technically make a big deal. Me, the way I've kind of positioned myself and how I structured like my finances, it doesn't affect me as much. I may have to pick up like a shift or two to compensate, but it won't affect me to the point where you're like, oh, now how are you gonna pay for the car? How are you gonna like do a bunch of other stuff? Like it won't affect me like that drastically, because you can see so many people as soon as they graduate, the amount of debt either they're in from school, and then they slap more debt from like house, cars, your lifestyle and stuff like that. And any decrease in income, it could get you into a little cycle of the debt and cause problems. So always try to, me personally, I just live under my means always. For the most part, I don't really splurge or do many things, or I'm just kind of a pretty simple type of dude. Go to the gym, kind of work out, eat healthy, do a few things with the gremlins, with the wife. Occasionally we'll go out. So it's a pretty chill lifestyle. I would highly recommend anyone doing night shift to just give it a shot. More money, and maybe it works for you, maybe it doesn't. You can enjoy the daytime, or who knows, maybe you're more of a clinic type of person, or you enjoy the hospital, or you can do mobile. The beauty of our job in Xray, you have so many options that can lead you in so many ways. If you want to do traveling, or if you want to go to OR, like there's so many different branches of this field, and it give you, it can cater for any lifestyle. It can cater for any schedule or anything going on. As long as you search for it, there's always hiring people. Now I will say that some of like the best jobs or the best kind of gigs in the work lifestyle, you won't find them that often. Like I was fortunate enough that I was able to snag the shift I got at my hospital, because most of them don't show up until either the tech leaves, or he gets fired, or he retires. Like some of those shifts, like there's certain shifts that there's techs who've been working them for so many years and they probably won't leave. Like I'm fortunate enough to have a pretty good shift and a pretty good other person I work with, and like it's like a 3-minute commute to work. Like it don't take like management's pretty good. I don't have to worry about like the work lifestyle. It's pretty good. I don't have to worry about too many things. I just kind of, you know, push the button, do what I gotta do, and keep it pushing. Like it's a pretty good gig. I probably will retire at my place, to be honest. I mean, I may look into picking up other facilities and other points, maybe, but like with our job and where I work at, there's so many opportunities for overtime and other stuff that I don't really have to go and apply to a different hospital to different stuff, unless like we move or we do other stuff like that. Then maybe we'll see, but right now it says they're pretty good. So as far as the 7 off goes, hypothetically speaking, it is technically 7 off, 7, you know, off, but technically speaking, if you look at it of how my life and stuff is structured, you really, the first like the night going into the Xray and the night once you get off, kind of those really don't even count as far as like the first night you're off. You can either have, it's kind of goes into one or two ways. You either stay up and you push it through the whole day and then you fall asleep at night like a normal person, and then you wake up technically day 2, which is technically my day 1, and you'll be kind of okay mentally and all that, and you can just kind of do whatever you have to do, and kind of, which is right now heading into first night. Once again, I could either stay up, do a bunch of stuff I have to do. Like right now, it's currently 12 o'clock, noon. And you could probably be okay. Or you can sleep probably around 2 o'clock. I think I'll probably fall asleep maybe after doing all my dad duties. And that will kind of, like it's kind of an iffy kind of situation. Me personally, depending on what I got going on, that first night when I'm off, if I know I have overtime scheduled, then depending on when I scheduled my overtime, like if I picked it up, because you get off Wednesday in the morning, right? If I picked it up on a Thursday or Friday, like that week I have overtime, usually it's daytime, it'll be like 8 to 4:30. I'll probably stay up and kind of have to like meal prep and clean and do a bunch of other chores, and you know, my responsibility as a father and stuff like that. I'll just kind of give up sleep and just kind of do all the tasks and stuff, and just kind of get myself situated. It does come with a price. You are kind of sleepy and groggy. Nothing a little coffee and caffeine can't fix, but it kind of helps you from like not falling off of your little routine schedule, right? And then depending on how much overtime, I may have to push all my like, you know, duties, you know, like cutting the grass, you know, restocking the fridge, doing whatever, you know, dad stuff and other responsibilities. It may have to be pushed later down the week. Or if it's my overtime is scheduled like on the Monday, Tuesday of the second part of my 7 off, I may have a slightly chiller, like I'll go to sleep, so, like I'll finish Wednesday and I'll work out, I'll eat breakfast and do whatever, and then probably around 12 I'll fall asleep, and then I wake up at 4 p.m, pick up the kids, do, you know, dad stuff and hang out with the nurse, and then probably about 8 to 9 p.m. I'll fall asleep, and I'll be able to flip back to a regular-ish schedule, and I'll be able to kind of, you know, do whatever, essentially appointments, doctors, whatever, stuff like that. There is times where certain runs where you have crazy amount of overtime, where it's like the only days I don't work ever is like on the weekends, because either my lady works, she has on call, or I have other stuff to do, and all the tasks have to be done on the weekend, which for the kids sometimes it can interfere with their, trying to enjoy the weekends, or other responsibilities. It can kind of affect that flow. But overall, I would say, depending on what you have going on, you can cater your schedule, and it gives you the most amount of flexibility, I would say. Because if you work like the typical 9 to 5, and you're technically Monday through Friday, and you just have the weekends, I could see how, like, once you finish work, like, and I just see it with my lady. When she finishes work, it's probably, she leaves at 8, comes home like at 5. By the time, she showers, eats, chills a little bit, and then she has to do nursing notes and stuff like that, she really doesn't have much time to take care of like other responsibilities or other things, and it all get pushed to the few days when she is off, which is not that much. It's only like the weekend, so it's only 2 days. And even then, majority of the times on those 2 days off, like the first day, you're either, let's go on an adventure, Miguel, let's go do this, let's do that. Nothing really get done. Maybe on Sunday she may do some of her chores or mom duties and stuff like that, and that's really about it. Not too much. Like, most of the responsibilities and stuff kind of falls on me, just because I have a little bit more time off ish, I guess you could consider, since I do 7 on 7 off, and I'm able to carry more weight, and it helps with the workload. But I don't think I would be able to take care as much. Like, I would be slacking in a lot of my responsibilities, or I'll be more irritated because I have to give up more sleep to get some of these basic responsibilities done, or it will be at a point where we'll have to miss work, either her or me, just to be able to take care of some of the tasks, like as far as appointments and stuff like that. So it does have its benefits as far as that. Or there's people who'd have to burn a lot of PTO. I'm fortunate enough that I don't have to really ever, unless it's like true vacation. I have to burn a little bit of PTO from there. So once again, literally, as soon as you finish Xray, you get your job, and you can do really whatever you want. It can either be you're in the grind season, you're trying to make as much money as you want, or you do the work-life balance, 7 on 7 off, don't pick up ever shifts, and you just kind of enjoy your life like that. Or you can just kind of be, I'm kind of the mix of both. Probably grind during the summer seasons and then kind of back off because of the kids and stuff, and I'll pull back to just 7 on 7 off, and then the overtime, well, not the on call I have to be on at work. So it's pretty good overall. I find once you find your little groove and what works for you, it makes the rest pretty chill. The only thing that can kind of affect the Miguel's workflow is all the random variables that get thrown into it between the kids, the lady, if we have issues with the cars, or whatever other NPC tasks and stuff we have going on. Those are the only things that maybe kind of affect Miguel's situation, which, if it boils down, some of it's just throwing money at it to fix the problem. Other ones is a task Miguel has to give up sleep to go do, and it's really, it kind of falls into one of those two things most of the times. So I'm always willing to give up some sleep, take care of stuff, because nothing will irritate me more than just me knowing I have a bunch of stuff to do, and then just kind of pushing it off to the last minute. I'd rather kind of just do the stuff ahead of time and just kind of, you know, like, it'll irritate me having to do a bunch of stuff, because like right now, my 7 on 7 off, I don't do too many things when I work night shift, because you'll just be so irritated and you'll be kind of tired, and you'll just do kind of the bare basics. So when you're off, you'll just kind of do it there. But kind of the mix of life and whatever I have going on, sometimes it's beneficial for me to just kind of do some things, give up a little bit of sleep when I'm off, like during the regular, like I'm working night shift, to do a little bit of stuff so it's a little bit less when I'm off. But it all just kind of caters to the system and whatever we have going on. Like right now, I got to go drop off some shot records, and I have a bunch of other appointments I got to schedule for the kids. Just, you know, the typical yearly stuff we have going on here. But it is life. I mean, I never would imagine how, like, at being a student, I always imagined that life would be a little bit different, but I'm kind of thankful that it just kind of falls into, like once I was able to find my groove and everyone was able to kind of do their own duties and all their own tasks and stuff, and we find a fine groove, it made life way more easier, because there was times where at the very beginning, when Miguel was brand new, just started 7 on 7 off, there was times where I would, you know, I'd be going to work, finishing work, going to the gym, eat, go straight to sleep, didn't do other stuff, any kind of stuff, because I'm like, oh, I'm tired, I went to work, I'm just, you know, chill. And then what happened is all the other responsibilities, dad stuff, other stuff we have going on, got pretty stacked up to the point where it affected the regular workflow. I could say that it didn't end well for me. Like within, I think, a month of just kind of running it that route. I mean, I was sleeping good, probably like 8-9 hours. But the problem was a bunch of the daily tasks and a bunch of the regular stuff that has to be done wasn't getting done. So like once the weekend came, or when the lady'd be off, she'd be like, yo, this ain't gonna work. So slowly Miguel had to give up sleep, not too much sleep, but, and we're able to kind of fit in the groove of responsibilities and get everything in line, and it makes life pretty good. Can't complain. I know sometimes I come off as someone who's like complaining, bragging, and I'm not. I'm just here to literally tell you what it's like, keep it honest with you. I'll never ask you for anything. So, here on our first stop of the many duties I gotta do. For me, right now, if you're like, Miguel, what's the best case situation heading into night 1? So technically for me, during the summertime, and anyone who works in the healthcare field can tell you, even if they're a nurse, whatever, you know, if they work in the hospital, during the summertime, it's more of a chill-ish, a little bit random stuff, and more chill compared to the winter months. So technically right now, I would highly recommend you picking up overtime, you saving up your PTO, and picking up shifts as much as you can, because it'll be pretty chill. Even right now, for the most part, the COVID flu situation is at the all-time low, at least at our place. Like, there's like less workflow overall, and it makes the job workflow pretty easy. So I mean, obviously we have a bunch of random things, summer activities that the NPC people do, that they'll end up getting hurt and they'll show up at my job. But it's just, you know, regular summer activities that happens. ATVs, jumping on a trampoline, or other random shenanigans that people do and they'll get hurt and stuff like that, right? I will say that when the winter season comes, during, like, I think ours is from like, I want to say October to about November is when it slowly just starts to peak up and ramp up. But probably between December all the way to February is probably the worst for us here, as far as like overall workload and the amount of patients that come in and need x-rays. Most of it's just chest x-rays of the simple, you know, COVID fluid stuff like that. And I would highly recommend anyone, and I'll always test by burn your PTO during the winter months to at least mitigate the overall, you know, stress on your body and all that if you're able to, because the workload will literally, you'll see it slowly go from like super chill to just slowly start ramping up, and then probably by the main of the winter you will probably easily triple to quadruple your workload, and you'll feel it. And once again, with our job, you get paid by the hour, so regardless if it's 1 x-ray or 50 x-ray, you're still getting paid the same amount, and your body will slowly feel it. So right now it's pretty chill going into the first night with not my usual work partner, so it'll be a little bit different, because it makes a huge difference of working with like the same person or the same persons, depending on how many people you have, and you kind of have a certain system and a certain way you do stuff, and it will change like dramatically as far as like the workload, as far as how efficient or how fast you're able to accomplish the x-rays and all the like overnight with the morning ports and stuff like that. Obviously right now it shouldn't be too bad, because it's not the manager but one of the lead techs who's been in the game pretty long. I think she's been doing it for like 20 years, so pretty well experienced. I've worked with them before, so it shouldn't be too bad. So hopefully night 1 should be pretty good. I mean, obviously just pulling up to work here, probably between the EMSs and the amount of police cars that will be outside of your work, when I pull up to work, I'll be able to kind of get a gauge, or even just looking into the waiting room, you can kind of see how much workload awaits for you, because you wouldn't think that certain days wouldn't affect the workload, but it just slowly, after doing it for so long, I've kind of picked up on trends on certain days, or even when I was working crazy amount of overtime, the way the 7 would flow, even though technically you work in the emergency room and every day is kind of random, you never know what happens. It's just certain days have just a notorious heavier workload than other days, and it just happens so often to the point where it just like it sticks with you. To like, for instance, me, I know that my Wednesday when I go into work is probably the hardest Wednesday, like is the hardest out of all the 7. Between the first day and the last day is the most like heavy workload day-ish that happens for me personally. Now on the opposite, if we flipped it, when I worked on like the crazy amount of overtime, their first day was like the chillest, and then the last day when they left was the most hectic. So they're on the opposite swing. Same thing for us during the morning ports. Like we'll start off with a lot of morning ports, and then by the time the last 2 nights happen, people have been discharged, or they won't need chest x-rays anymore, and the workload becomes smaller, but you'll get random stuff that get thrown into the mix, as far as like a bunch of add-ons of orders, or a bunch of like just random stuff that people end up getting hurt, and they'll show up, and it will happen so often that it just clicks in your brain. You're like, every single night 7, I'm almost like paranoid, or almost just kind of like it's always in my head that I know on night 7, I'm like, always got to be careful to double check my images, because some shenanigan or something happens where we run the name under the wrong patient, or like the machine causes problems, or it goes offline, or the machine quits working, or we'll get like a significant amount of random traumas that will happen during our morning part runs that will affect our workflow-ish, or we'll get called to different floors. So a bunch of random chaos happens, at least in our shift, on the last night, and it's always something that it always amazes me that it happens so often. It's almost like a pattern that you pick up on. So anyways, that's a bunch of rambling I'm doing. It's just sharing the knowledge that I've accrued over many years of just paying attention. Same thing with like some of the genetics that you see, because like essentially we're staring at the people's like body habitus all the time, and even with mine, I noticed that certain people's physique or how they're built will kind of, majority of the time, like when I shoot it, you'll see a certain style of body habitus, like for instance their lungs. Like I've noticed over the years, if they're like skinny, super skinny, majority of the times they have long lungs. Or certain like body conditions, like if they're kyphotic, or if they're lordotic, or they have scoliosis, like there's certain trends and certain stuff that you can just kind of better prepare yourself for the image. Like I know, like for instance me, like with my genetics, I can see someone else who looks kind of the same build as I am, and majority of the times I'm like, he's probably gonna have tiny Miguel lungs, because I have tiny lungs. During COVID, I got X-rays and I looked at my lung, they're super tiny, short and wide. So there's certain stuff that, if you noticed, can kind of allow you to get the infamous X-ray vision. Same thing with the elbows. Something I've noticed that certain people have, and it happens every once in a while. You'll have the people who you'll tell them to be in a P-view elbow, and you shoot it and the joint isn't that open, and then you'll have to kind of almost oblique the patient's arm just to get an AP, and then do some crazy oblique just to get the APV, like the oblique joint open. And my lady has whatever condition that is, that her elbow, some kind of like condition, I forgot what it's called, and you'll see it, and it gets me when I see it and the students try to comp it, because they always mess up as soon as they shoot the first one, and I look at their positioning and I'm like, this is gonna be one of those like where you have to super crazy turn their body to get the oblique, which some of it comes with like maybe the limited movement, other ones because of how they're built and all their stuff, which it continues to amaze me how everyone technically is kind of built the same. We all have the same bones and the same things, but all the genetics and all the whatever else you have going on can affect how you're able to perform, or even how the image comes out, and how you have to make adjustments and stuff like that. That's the one thing that comes with working in the emergency room. The amount of times that you have to kind of think outside of the box and kind of how would I say, it's kind of like you're doing stuff a little bit different outside of the textbook just to get the same images. It's something that will surprise you once you're out there, but it builds a lot of skills and a lot of knowledge. Currently 1:21 p.m. So technically that concludes my day, if you could say, of Miguel doing stuff and all that. So technically we are going to go to sleep here till probably, I'd say about 4:30. We'll probably wake up, and then we'll begin the rest of the day. So picking up the kids and dealing with all the other responsibilities that I got going on. So get a little bit of sleep, and hopefully we'll be semi-rested, if you can say, for the rest of the 7. Here we are rolling into night 1 of our journey. Got my little lunch box in my waters, energy stuff. So right now it is 8:30, no, like 8:03. Heading into work. Short commute to work. That's why I kind of enjoy it. And even picking up for overtime or anything is pretty chill. It's close by. There's people who literally will travel between, I think the farthest Xray tech we have coming is 45 minutes, 45 or 50 minutes, I can't remember. They commute pretty far just to get to where we work, which is wild to think that I just have to commute like a simple, 3 minutes if all the lights are green, 5 minutes to 6 minutes with light, maybe 10 with traffic during the daytime, and not that bad. I can't really complain. So I'm pretty fortunate enough to have a very short commute to work. And it's wild, like the amount of hours. Like there's I remember my just my parents, one of them would have to commute like about 30 to 40 minutes to work every day, and I'm like, dang, it's pretty far of just time just to drive and come back, which I mean, it could be peaceful, could, you know, you have a little moment to just, but I feel like over doing it for so long, it's wild. Which to me, sometimes putting it in perspective, I'm like, is there no other hospital, no other clinic, no other place, wherever they live, that's good enough to work at? Because like we have a few other techs that live far too, and they commute to work too, and all of them are like veteran techs who've been doing it for like 20 plus years. And I've never like gotten to talk to them or like pick up their brains about stuff, but I've heard that they've worked at other places, and you know, they're all pretty good. But I just still think that wherever I am at, I'm fortunate enough, very blessed to have a good job, because I guess the other places around where I work, the other hospitals or the other places, aren't that good that they're at where I work at. So I assume it's a pretty good gig, because like I just came straight from school to here, and that's what I do. Like, I didn't go anywhere else. I mean, as a student, I went to the other clinics and stuff for clinicals, but I didn't get to, you know, work at any other place. And for the most part, I'm pretty happy here. So heading into night one, only 2 EMSs. The waiting room looks pretty chill, so hopefully it should be a good night. I don't think it's a full moon today, which, yes, that kind of somehow affects people. And it does. I can say working several full nights, I can say that the workload and the random stuff that happens slowly increases. It's just one of those mysterious things. I also, patients acting up in the hospital, that one too. So hopefully it should be a good night. Currently 8:15. Here in a little bit we'll go in a little bit early, because one of my biggest pet peeves is people showing up late to work. I understand people have stuff going on, they don't always show up on time, but there's certain people that show up late all the time. I'd rather show up a few minutes early always, because you never know what's happening inside the joint over here at the hospital. Can never see in a world where you'll be in trouble for coming in just a little bit late early than coming in late always. Peeps, we've concluded our first night, 7 a.m. here. So overall, it was way more busy than I thought. Like, I came in and everyone was talking about us going on divert, which, if you're not familiar with what that means that they have too many people they can't take anymore as far as like EMS or anyone like that, so they tell them to go to a different hospital, which my hospital is the county hospital, which they never go on divert. Usually it's all the other hospitals that do, but today we've kind of pushed the limit, and we were probably busy till about midnight. It was pretty busy. And then we had a good amount of morning ports, probably I think like 30 morning ports, and then we had a few add-ons. So it was quite a hectic day. The only thing that was saving us a little bit is we did have the good doctor who doesn't order unnecessary stuff. So no traumas, no nothing like that. Thank God, I guess. You know, our city would, but it was a lot of COVID and flu, like stuff like that, but it was kind of busy compared to other nights. Overall, it went pretty good. Working with a different person, not too bad. We'll see how tomorrow goes. Was able to pick up some extra shifts here in the upcoming months, make a little extra money, can never hurt. You know, back to school shopping, you know, ease the pain, you know, with the kids and stuff like that. So overall, I would say, as far as if we count my little health meter, you know, energy bar meter, I would say right now we're probably sitting at about 95. So we're still pretty good. Here in a little bit, we have to take the kids to school, and then we'll probably get ready for the gym. And then I think I have a few dad errands I got to take care of. And that's, and then we'll see what other stuff awaits. Because like in my brain, I have like everything I have to do, and then there's like the random variables, like my lady can wake up and be like, yo, the kid's sick. Yo, you need to take him to the clinic, or you need to do this, you need to do that. And there's always other activities that get thrown on throughout the day. Which, me personally, I'd rather all that stuff happen at the beginning of my stretch, because ain't nothing piss you off than by the end of your stretch getting tackled a bunch of stuff and all you want to do is go to sleep. But sometimes you can't because your responsibilities and stuff like that. So righty, so it is 8:12 a.m. here once again back at the gym. Today we're hitting arms, little bicep, little tricep. Once again, I will say significantly, probably right now 10 to 15 reduction in the amount of like weight and stuff that I can push. I already feel like my forearm and stuff already kind of sore from work. Already got a kind of you had to use the muscles at work. Had a few large patients at work, so we'll knock this out today. Should be pretty easy. Still have a good amount of energy. Arms are relatively easy workout, probably 30 minutes I'll be done with some little shoulder shrugs and stuff like that. And then we have a few tasks. We had to go return some stuff to the store that we did some shopping yesterday. That's why I didn't get to sleep. So slowly ticks at Miguel's overall energy, little bar level, slowly gets ticked down. And I think I had to do a little meal prep for the squad. My food's good, I'm ready to go. And we'll go knock this out. Ooh, we finished working out. It is currently 8:50, so as predicted, about 30 minutes. And so instead of going home and eating my typical oatmeal with peanut butter type of breakfast, technically speaking, I am on my second meal, because when I'm at work, probably around midnight, I technically have my breakfast, if you could call it, up there. I'll eat my first meal, which is well, typically I'll just eat whatever's at work. Like they'll have snacks, they'll have whatever food for us in the emergency room, or slash the doctors will buy stuff and stuff like that, which for the most part semi-healthy-ish. I wouldn't say the most healthy, but it's okay. Gets the job done, you know. Eat for one less meal I have to pay for, you know, essentially. So right now I'm gonna go home and have lunch, I guess you could call it. It's gonna be, once again, chicken, rice, broccoli, drizzle it with some sauce, and we'll go on to go do some cardio at the gym. Once again, probably another hour of cardio to knock it out, try to get shredded, and then go do my other dad tasks I have to do. Now I will say that throughout this video, if you pay attention and you're able to fast forward and see at the end, something I have noticed tremendously, and both working, regardless if I sleep good or I don't sleep good, the communication as far as talking or even brain function cognitively does diminish as the shifts and hours go by. I have noticed that like towards night 7, sometimes it's hard to communicate certain words, or like my brain will be a little bit more slow. And I've noticed that happens tremendously. Even my ladies always notice that I'm more sluggish, or even talking sometimes I'll I'll have a hard time kind of like talking certain words, or I'll get stuttered, or I've noticed something that will happen. And it usually happens because I don't sleep as much, or who knows, maybe it's just part of night shift. I don't know yet, but I've noticed that trend that happens as I go through the night shift. So hopefully today will probably, if I had to guess, probably about 1 o'clock, we'll probably end up going to sleep. And then we'll wake up at 4:30. Which yesterday it was kind of different because my lady wanted me to go do some stuff with her, back to shop, like buying stuff for the kids for back to school. And we went to sleep like at, I think it was like 1, and then we woke up at like at 3:30. So a little bit less sleep, but it wasn't too bad because, you know, we're still technically at the beginning of our 7, so we're still holding up pretty good. The time is 9:36, and here we are ready to do our cardio. About an hour of cardio is what we got today. And the sponsor of today's video is me, fellow Miguel. I post daily videos in the world of radiology, and I also, a couple months back, started doing some memes. As you see, I'm always wearing my anime shirts and stuff like that, so I found some different approach, something I always found interesting because I see all the memes, but I was like, everyone's kind of doing the same boring ones. Let me make a little bit different. So you can check out some on the shorts, and all of them get posted on TikTok just because they have like the copyright restrictions are way less over there, so I'm able to post over there. I can post some here sometimes, other times it gets blocked or it doesn't allow me to upload, but I post some of the stuff that I find humorous with the anime involving a little small niche in the world of radiology. So I hope you enjoy those, get some laugh. By far, to me, to this day, the best one I've made to me is the domain expansion from JJK with the radiology. I think that one was like the one that even hit viral for me-ish. I think it was like 33,000 on TikTok. It did pretty well over there, which is not crazy, but like for someone who just posts just like for fun, and it did pretty well compared to the other videos. So, but anyways, we're gonna knock out some cardio. While I'm doing cardio, that's like I have an hour to either just like watch anime, do some like dad stuff on the phone, appointments or whatever I have to do, or sometimes I may talk to my lady, or like I'll be editing videos or doing whatever I have to do, because like it's just an hour, might as well make it a little bit productive. So guys, we woke up and right now it's 5:37, 122 degrees. It's hot today here in the great Texas. So we woke up probably, I want to say it was 4:30. Woke up, had a lovely, I guess for me it would be dinner with the lady. And we're about to head off, pick up some of the kids from their summer school. And I will say that today I was looking through my phone, and today's gonna be one of those days that, depending on who's the doctor at the hospital, it can go one or two ways. So we have scheduled, let me double check on my phone right now. We have, what did the big man schedule epic maintenance tonight. Oh, okay, so everyone's screwed. Okay, so there's 2 types of downtime at the hospital. So it says from 10 to 11. Oh, so it's just an hour. Okay, it's not that much. Okay, so essentially For me personally, I like it when it's epic and everyone goes down and it's not just our department. So essentially what happens during that 1 hour, epic is the system everyone uses at the hospital. So all departments use it. And essentially what's going to happen is everything for that hour has to be done either verbally and paper. So any orders and any stuff like that has to be done. You know, the doctor's gonna be like, yo, Miguel, shoot a chest x-ray, or they'll order it written down on a little like paper and they'll give it to us, and then we'll just keep it till the system comes back on. So essentially everything we shoot, we just kind of quick start it, or trauma, emergency, whatever start, and then we just keep it in local until the system reboots or the maintenance thing finishes, and then the doctors will start putting all the orders back in that they ordered originally, the paper ones, and then you can just link them up together. Me personally, that's the most easiest one because you don't have to worry about, the only thing you have to worry about is if you shoot something, you got to find the doctor, or if he's pretty chill and can wait it out, he'll come back to your department, look at the picture on your portable. And most of the time you try to do everything portable, so if the doctor has to look at it, you can just kind of pull up in a little portable, hey, look at it, and he's like, okay, good. So nothing can get read with this way because the epic is the one where all the ordering and stuff link up, so nothing will get read like that. If they truly need in our system a read, we could kind of create some kind of order and push it to the online rads and they can look at it, but there won't be an official report until later on, until we fix everything. So for me personally, this is the best case situation, because once PAX goes down and you have to deal with that, it's more work for our department, and everyone else department is working fine, and they're like, yo, where's our picture at? Or, yo, where's our report at? And we're like, we're working on it. I gotta manually put everything in and then send it off, and I hope to God that the online radiologist gets all the pictures, because I have to manually push it, and sometimes your shitty equipment doesn't push all the pictures, or sometimes some of the pictures come by, and if everything doesn't get ended in a certain way, the online radiologist, they won't be able to put a report, or it gets complicated, and it's a back and forth of, did he get it? Or calling back, hey, are we good now? And with the online radiologist, it can range from 1 hour to 2 hours as read time, depending on what they got going on. So today should be pretty chill for that 1 hour. Most of the times, when that happens, most of the floors of the hospital will kind of calm down and they'll wait, or if they truly need it, they'll find a doctor and they'll. It is currently about to be 8 o'clock and we're heading off to work for the second night. Today's Thursday night, and usually Thursday is a bit of an odd situation because you never know what to expect on Thursdays as far as workload. There hasn't been any patterns or anything, I kind of realized, but today I've been told by the upper management in my department that my partner, who was originally with me, has decided to resign. And which, you know, they had other stuff going on, and you know, to each their own, they have stuff going on. They're probably moving back to their family or whatever they have going on, right? So in my department, the hardest shift to ever be covered is night shift, because a lot of people don't like working night shift. Day shift, it's always easier to get coverage. Even when I go on vacation, which I don't go on vacation much, but they always struggle to get coverage. So with me being like, when the opposite crew was down to tech, I was kind of carrying the team and picking up a lot. So now usually what happens is we'll see how the other team reacts, and if they pick up and they help out, which probably they will because I helped out tremendously, and we kind of, night shift kind of, you know, holds their own. and we'll see if day shift has to get involved, and we'll see how long it took to fill the role. Which, for context, it took them about a year to just fill in the opposite role, which I was pulling crazy amount of overtime over there, which, you know, I was happy, living my best life. But I don't know. I mean, I know when I was fortunate enough to pick up this shift, they didn't struggle at all. They literally got the letter of resignation from the other tech, which I took their position that day when I applied. Well, when I was getting my interview, and they're like, yo, this position literally just came in today. There, you know, they put in their 2 weeks. By the time you get hired, it'll be 2 weeks. Do you want to do it? And I was like, why not? So it's gonna be an interesting the rest of the future to see how it goes, because depending on who I get who works with me, as far as, you know, buddy, as far as not, if they got experience, if they don't, if they're brand new, it will literally change the dynamics of how Miguel runs the joint. So obviously, being the veteran tech and holding it down, once again, I'll probably take over all the the major kind of responsibilities, as far as like all the crazy variables that you never know that can happen at work will kind of fall on me, just because, you know, I know more. And it'll be another kind of trying to get along with another tech. It's interesting. It could be good, it could be bad. You know, there's people who they like their partners. I was fortunate enough, all the partners I've had have been wonderful, and I have learned a lot from all of them, from the managers I've got to work with, from even this partner I've had. I learned a lot of mobile, Xray, other like cross table techniques and other like stuff that I usually didn't do, and it helped tremendously. So that is a big news in Miguel's world, and we'll see how that goes. So hopefully it should be a pretty smooth night again. Alrighty folks, here outside of the parking lot at work, looks like the waiting room is a little bit full, and we have about 5 EMSs at the bay, so we got a little bit of work, looks like, that awaits for us. So just a little help for anyone out there who needs some assistance, some, you know, perks of the job. I bought this. I call this my handy dandy little dad tool. It helps tremendously on your forearm when you drive the portable. If you clip it on it and you're able to like conduct it and move around, saves it. Like, usually to drive the portable, you go like this, and then you're like ta 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 ta. With this, it'll hold it down, and you can literally with 2 fingers just maneuver it. Game changer. Highly recommend. $1. Home Depot, Walmart, whatever. Cheap. But little knowledge for you guys that you don't learn anywhere on the internet. I haven't seen anyone else do that. It just occurred to me because when I'm always doing dad stuff at home, like cutting grass and stuff, and I like use that for my lawnmower to save my forearm, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if I could use it at work, and it worked. Helped a lot. But anyways, here coming into work, always have my little bit of, since I'm always kind of, right now I'm probably sitting about 90% as far overall energy wise. Still not too bad, but I have my little caffeine pill. It just helps me, you know, get a little energy. Take that with a little, like some water juice thing. Now, for some people, be like, Miguel, you take caffeine pills? Yes, it's either that or energy drinks. And sometimes you don't want energy drinks because they're like, oh, it's bad for you. Well, you drink them because you need caffeine, so why not sometimes just go straight to the source and just take the caffeine pills? Avoid the stuff. Way cheaper too. It's like 5 cents a pill. So you can buy it at Walmart. Wish I knew about it in college. Would have saved me a lot of money. So, what awaits for Miguel? overall, my lady will always keep me updated on the news and stuff of like, if there's a car crash around 12, sometimes it becomes Miguel problems at night, because people will show up like, yo, I crashed so-and-so. And I was like, oh, my lady told me about the news. And they're like, yeah, it was me. And I was like, why didn't you come sooner? And they're like, oh, well, nothing was hurting. And then later on, once the adrenaline and all the other stuff, you know, gets out of their system, they show up because it starts hurting. Or they start talking to family members like, yo, you should really get checked out. Insurance purposes and other stuff. They'll show up. And either they're fine or it's not broken. So it's a little bit of both. Pretty full parking lot, I ain't gonna lie. Usually it's pretty chill, but pretty full parking lot. So hopefully today's a good day. I think we have the good doctor today, so hopefully it should be a pretty smooth night. Righty, so we finished our second night. Went pretty well, way more chiller than the first day. Had the good doctor. The downtime, it didn't even go down. We didn't even notice it. So sometimes it does go down and it affects the workflow. Today it didn't affect anything. So it's pretty good. Pretty chill morning, Portless. Nothing too bad, nothing crazy to report. So easy day, you know. Had a lot of pretty chill, pretty slow. It was pretty good. Now, Friday and Saturday are always, I think mainly Friday. Friday is usually when the city and all the young folks go do stuff, and it causes the MVCs, or they get drunk, they go do stuff, and then they end up showing up at my work because of crash, fall, fights, or anything like that. So Friday, usually it's pretty busy. Even if you live in a smaller city, like my city, it's not that big and nothing usually happens, but I go over the weekend and a bunch of stuff starts to happen. So even for the morning ports, will probably be about the same. I think may have a few extra, but overall it was pretty good. We had a lot of NICU today for the little babies. So today, once again, run it back again, same game plan. We're gonna go home, take the kids to the daycare, and go to the gym, eat, and then once again knock out the cardio. And then I think today's daily tasks are pretty chill. Don't have to leave the house, I don't think so. So we might be able to sleep in a little bit earlier today, probably 12, which from 12 to 4 probably is what we're sleeping, so probably 4 hours, which is pretty good compared to like other times. I mean, to someone's like 4 hours, Miguel, that's not a lot of sleep. Well, I mean, when you can't confirm nor deny sleep at work, especially right now. I think for like the next 2 to 3 more nights, we have a very good doctor, so we're gonna be pretty chill at work. Here we are back at the gym. It is currently 8:11 a.m. and today we're gonna hit some chest and some shoulders. So this will be a little bit more harder workout, just simply because I am tired. I would say right now we're probably sitting at about an 80 as far as like the overall energy and stuff like that. Kind of just, I don't know, ain't feeling it today, but just gonna go push through it. Did have an energy drink at work today, also on top of all the other stuff I took, the caffeines and the other stuff. So today is going to be a rough one, but we're going to get it done. The current time is 11:47. Finished buying some groceries. Maybe we'll fold the clothes. We already did an hour of cardio. We may eat dinner, we may not, depending how I feel, because sometimes if I eat too much, then it's like super hard on my stomach. And I don't know, it's kind of iffy. Worst case, I'll probably sleep at 2, wake up at 4:30. And then going into the weekend, I'll be able to sleep more, maybe 5 to 6 hours, because the lady can watch the kids. So we should recover a little bit. Right now, probably sitting about like 80 energy-ish wise. And even if I go to sleep, you will never recover more. It will never go back up, at least with my lifestyle and stuff I got going on. But overall, everything's going good, getting stuff done. It is currently 8 p.m. Heading off to work. Today's Friday night. So, see what awaits for McGill at the night shift. I think we went to sleep around 1 o'clock. We woke up about 3:30 something. Lady had she wanted me to take her out. We went to eat, get some food, and prepare for the weekend a little bit. And I put the kids down, and that's pretty about much it. All we did. I mean, once again, over the weekend should be pretty chill. We'll see how work is, depending on how many EMSs and all that. We still have the good doctor, because the good doctor, I will always stand for it. If you are able to find a place that you have a good doctor, the workload significantly drops so much. Even if there's a bunch of people, if you have the right doctor holding down the crew, they're able to get the patient, either they find their problem and then give them drugs, and then, or like, you know, they fix it and then they discharge them, and then you're on to the next, or they're admitting them and they quickly send them upstairs. Sometimes they are holding in the hospital, so there's no rooms, but they can just, you know, keep on turning and burning and only order what's necessary, because some doctors will order a bunch of stuff, and if there's a bunch of doctors and a bunch of patients and they're ordering a bunch of stuff, you can, within a few minutes, you can just be swarmed, and then the phone can be ringing upstairs. They want you to, they don't know what's going on in the emergency room downstairs, unless like it's a level 1 or something crazy happens. Then the other floors in hospital will kind of be like, yo, take care of that, and then whenever you get the chance, you can come, you know, and deal with our supposedly stat, but is not stat, really inconvenience type of situation. They'll back off a little bit, because other times they'll want it, and then you get their patients asleep, and it's like, you really couldn't wait till morning ports to get this done. This was truly stat, this routine thing that you switch to stat, you know? So that's something that you deal with as an X-ray tech, that everything they want it fast. And or even at night with our radiologist, because we have the online radiologist, the way they read stuff, ours, it can be the quickest 30 minutes if they don't got nothing going on, all the way to 2 hours to get a report on something. So sometimes they'll be shooing us and they'll be like, yo, where's my report? And I'm like, doctor. And not me. I already did my part. I pushed the button. I got the picture. Here's the picture if you want to look at it again. But I mean, I can't give you, like, I can call and they'll be like, well, he's working on it, or they're behind, or something's going on. It's out of our control. Which, for the most part, most doctors can look at most images and kind of get a glimpse of what's kind of going on. Maybe they may miss some of like the super tiny little things that a radiologist would pick up, but overall the big issues, most of them can kind of look and be like, oh, we got pleural effusion, or oh, we have this kind of break. Oh, you know, they kind of, you know, no report needed. They can just kind of look and kind of, you know, what the game plan is. So I know for a lot of CAT scans and other exams that are more complicated, they do prefer to have a whole report. So, because, you know, there's a bunch of things you can miss on the other kind of exams. And I know on some of the babies, for certain stuff, it's harder to tell. So sometimes they do end up waiting for the radiologist, or they end up having to call. Because, like, if I call just as a regular tech versus the doctor calls to talk to the doctor to doctor, you know, radiologist to doctor, it can kind of speed up the process just a little bit, you know. So, alrighty, let's see what else. So I came into knowledge talking to my partner, well, ex-partner at work, that she is going back to Florida, back to her city where she came from. Her man got her dream job, well, his dream job-ish, I guess, I suppose, and he's going back. So, good for her, I suppose. It worked out for her. She wasn't going to be here, like, forever-ish. She just had plans to be here for a while stuff got situated, which I already kind of knew it. I mean, I had a good run. I think we worked together for like 3 years. It was pretty cool, pretty chill. So most likely, from the looks at it, I'll probably end up working with a fresh student. And which, I mean, sometimes it's kind of good to work with someone who's like fresh out. They have all the knowledge, and you're just like, hey, this is how we do it, and then it just kind of builds from there. Instead of, sometimes people come with other places and have other expectations, and it's harder to transition. Because like if you're new and you're fresh, you can kind of be molded and crafted to, you know. So who knows? We'll see how that goes. But usually when someone leaves or quits or whatever, usually they'll ask within the department and be like, yo, anyone want to come join Miguel at night shift? And then if no one says no, they'll reach out to the other departments and be like, yo, any of y'all? If no one says no, no one wants to, or, you know, there's no candidates, then you will usually post online, and then everyone else can apply if they want to. So far right now we have 2 EMSs. Waiting room looks okay, but you know, on the weekend, on Friday, you never know. You never know. So, alrighty, you guys, we survived another night at Freddy's Hospital while we're here. 5 nights at Freddy, well, 7 nights at Freddy, as you know, as some of the Xray techs over here make the memes always. Well, overall, I would say it was a pretty good night compared to usually on Fridays. Gets a little busy and the random stuff. Nothing, no MVCs, no nothing. The city was quite quiet. Towards the end of the shift, I will say, certain floors ordered a bunch of exams on certain patients on the ICU that they had to be brought down to the department to get done. Luckily, it became a DSP problem, which for those who do not know, it became a day shift problem because the nurses were doing shift change. They're giving a bunch of excuses, and they told us to wait till after 8, and I was like, sounds good to me, because, you know, that's day shift problem. So, avoided a few problems there. Overall, it was pretty good. Morning ports lists weren't too bad. Have, you know, the few patients that are always really hard to do their morning ports for chest, because they have a chest tube in them, and they give you, there's always like 1 or 2 patients on your morning port stretch that you don't look forward to doing because they're either very difficult or they're like very mean. And ours is like very difficult because it got a lot of things that you have to move, and it just inconvenience for the 30 seconds, and then they get mad and stuff like that. But overall, it was a good night, and I think tomorrow, Saturday night, is another, it can be busy or it can be very chill depending on what's going on in the city here. I think we have the good doctor again, so hopefully it should be another good night. I will say that this was the first night where I struggled a little bit around the, I want to say like 4 a.m. I had the little head tilts. No nap, no nothing. Just it's pretty steady. So we were doing, you know, pushing the button and stuff like that. So it was okay. Overall, energy-wise, my little bar, I would say we're probably, I want to say like a 75 right now we're feeling. So hopefully today, since the kids are home, ladies home, should be able to sleep a little bit more depending on what we got going on. But I don't think we have anything. Probably just have to do the basic eat, sleep, feed the fam, feed the dogs. I don't think we have anything else really planned. So hopefully you should sleep good, and then it should be another good night. So. Alrighty, the time is 8:02, and here we are for another beautiful night that awaits us. It did rain here in my beloved city, which it's not currently raining, but it did rain. The floors are wet, which you would be amazed at how rain, either if it's actively raining or it has rained, can cause people, like, so many accidents can cause. And you'd be like, Miguel, but it's a light rain, slippery road, people don't have good tires. Any extra variable that can come into people's driving, most people can't really drive too good. That happens. Causes wrecks, causes accidents, and they always show up. Like today, I can guarantee you that either between today and tomorrow, there's going to be like some MVCs that will happen. It always happens, notoriously. So we'll see how today awaits. So far, feel slightly more refreshed. Probably sitting at about 80, probably like 80. I'd say pretty good as far overall. I went to sleep from like 10 all the way to 5. So it's a little bit more hours of sleep, so it feels pretty good. Obviously, you'll never fully recover. Well, at least I won't ever fully recover when I work my shifts. Always slightly, feeling like it just always gets to you. In the night shift, there's no way to ever kind of recover back when you're on, at least your stretch on the 7. So hopefully today's good. Most of the times the morning port list is more chill on the weekends. I noticed that during the week, at least at my hospital, if people will be ordering stuff, everyone will be calling, be like, hey, can you go over here, shoot this, hey, can you? And then on the weekend, they'll order stuff, but they won't call, they won't bother us. It's everyone's like a little bit more chill. I guess there's no upper management or whatever's going on, I'm not sure, but like it's more chill always on the weekend, unless it's like a true code or someone really needs it, they'll call. And it's always more chill. I noticed that. So usually our morning port runs are pretty consistent. We'll go 2 a.m. to the west side, which is like all the major like intense care people, and then the east side, which is cardiology and the more people who are slightly more not as bad or are gonna go home soon. So hopefully it's a pretty good night. So we arrived to work, and it looks like we have like about 1 EMS, which is not bad. Waiting room looks pretty chill, so it should be hopefully a good start to our day. So once again, I always fall into my little routine. I got my little energy packets, little caffeine pills, and a little gum here and there. So hopefully it should be good. Here at work right now, I'm still working with one of, not the manager, but the one, like the assistant to the manager is the one temporarily working with me before we get my slot filled with my other partner. And so far it looks like it's either going to be it could be between a current co-worker during the day shift who may dabble in the night shift, or it could be some of the new students coming in. So it is interesting. We'll see how that awaits. But here we are, clocking in for another night. And wait, no, never mind. There's 2 EMSs. One just got here. So we'll see how that goes. Finished another night. It an interesting one, I will say probably right now sitting about 60% tired. It's mainly because we had some pretty dense people. The ones you gotta double the technique with the grid. Very America type of people. I think one weighed 600 pounds. Forearms are definitely pumped. They got a good pump on the forearms. Definitely, we'll say. Big people. Had more morning ports than I thought. I think we did like 40 morning ports. Few add-ons. And then we had one kind of trauma that kind of threw us off because like they ordered a forearm and the forearm looked like it was going to be shattered, and then we shot it, it was just swollen, but the patient, I don't know, it was weird. It was like, I think MVC. No, it was a four-wheeler versus a car, and the guy crashed and rolled over. Scratched it pretty bad, but I think that was like the most trauma we had. And then we had a little kid who destroyed his forearm too. Just like it was broken really, really bad. Apparently he was just playing, and then he tried to catch himself when he was falling down, and just destroyed in two. Like it was like the PA was fine. It was just like a little tiny crack. And we're like, okay, cool, it won't be a problem. Then on the lateral, it's just like, and then we're just like, ooh, that's pretty bad. I think that was the most good picture we have. And then I think that was about it. Overall, pretty chill. I think this is my last night with the good doctor. I know that tonight should be another hopefully chill night. Sundays are pretty chill, less morning ports because the order sets, because they'll put like 7 orders. Like if someone's intubated and they'll put the order set for like 7 days straight, it'll fall off on Sunday going into Monday. So there'll be technically it'll probably be day shift problem. That's usually what happens. Or it'll be closer to the end of the shift, they'll start to add more. And we do the 12, so it'll be 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. is the shift. And the 7 o'clock, I would say between 6:30 to 8 is when the most action happens, because people are driving to go to work and they'll end up getting into accidents or something will happen and they'll show up at work. I know for a fact we don't have like the worst doctor tonight because she's here right now during day shift. She just came, so I know we at least will be okay, because it makes a huge difference between having like the doctor who was notorious to order a bunch of stuff versus like the super good doctor. It can change the shift completely, regardless of what comes in. It'll be different. So right now I'm probably gonna go, I think I have some stuff I have to buy for breakfast for the squad, and then I think we have a few things I gotta do around the house, so I may be sleeping in a little bit later, and then I'll probably wake up like at 3 or 4, I think, today. Got stuff to do, but only gets harder from here as far as like energy wise, because you won't ever fully recover for me. So, and then I think the next few nights I have different co-workers, but the good part is that they're all fellow night shift, like the opposite night shift crew working, so shouldn't be no problem. Because it makes a difference when you work like the day shift with a night shift compared to when they're both night shift. The only thing that may be different is kind of how we do our own night shifts, the way, but it shouldn't be that bad. 7:33, and today is one of the first of 3 actual 12s, the actual 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. shift. Heading into work, it is currently Sunday night. It drizzled a little bit during the daytime, so maybe we might have some accidents. Maybe not. Hopefully not. You know, you always got to be hoping that everyone in your city stays home, avoids accidents. But it's mainly the Monday rush in the morning that's where the, the situations and the stuff happening. Heading into the first night, I think today probably sitting about a 75 energy-ish level. Slept a little bit less today, had to wake up to help a lady with the kids and other stuff we had going on, prepping for the rest of their week. It's kind of weird because like me and her are in different timelines as far as like her work week just begins because she's a Monday through Friday, and mine, I'm in the middle of my work week. It's just a little bit different, right? Heading into this night, hopefully everything should be good, working with other people, so shouldn't be too bad because they are fellow night shifts, and then we understand the game and what has to be done, and it's should be go pretty smoothly. I will say for this one, I will have a little energy drink heading into the shift. I think as night shift people, it's like our version of coffee. Like most of us, a lot of people work. I remember as a student seeing when I had to do my trauma rotation, a bunch of techs would just come in and they just straight to the energy drinks. I think it's more notorious on the night shift than it is day shift, because day shift will come in with like coffees and stuff, but there's always a running joke in the day shift crew if they come in and then they just straight cracking the energy drink, that's like, you just had one of those days, or you didn't get enough sleep, which the night shift is just a regular thing. Like it's just part of the, I think the most I've seen anyone drink was 3 energy drinks. It was like 1 in the morning, 1 in the middle of the shift, and 1 at the end of the shift. And I'm like, you know what? I respect that. I've been one of those. I've had some of those days. I understand. Some of those days, they're rough. I mean, as long as you get the job done, you know, whatever it takes, I guess. Obviously, it's not healthy. I'm aware of that. Try not to drink as much, but I think overall I do pretty good. The only thing that I can say that isn't as healthy is like the energy drinks. But besides that, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, I don't do anything else. I work out, eat majority clean. I think I've never ever in my life ever done anything. I mean, I've tried like alcohol when I was 21, tastes like shit, so I don't really do nothing. So I think the worst thing I do is energy drinks, if you consider that super bad, or drink Diet Cokes and diet beverages. Besides that, I think I'm pretty good. So let's see what else we got going on. Every like coming into the finishing summer, like around August, which right now, what is it, August 9? Yeah, right now it's August 9. We have the next batch of students coming in, you know, the fresh meat to the, you know, the first year, full of hopes and dreams and stuff. And it always amazes me seeing the next batch, and they always make a little tweaks to the program or different stuff. And it always amazes me how, like, you look, and then like for a split second I just like remembered what it was when I was going through the program and all the things I was going through. And the game don't change. It's the same struggles, the same universal things. They'll ask you questions, and depending on the student, because there's certain students that are like really cool and they remind you of yourself, and you trying to help them a little bit more. And then there's other students that they're there, they don't seem as cool, but you know, you always be nice to students. But it's like a different level of how much knowledge gets shared. I've seen it amongst students, and even with other techs, that how they are. Certain ones, they have their favorite students or stuff like that, and the different knowledge and stuff like that. Because like a part of me wants to give you some of these students like all the knowledge and stuff that I'm here sharing and stuff like that, but you can only throw so much, because depending on the kind of student, you'll see that some of them take it the wrong way. Some of them, you'll just scare them too much and they won't ever want to ask you advice. And then other ones will be like, you don't know what you're saying, Miguel. Like, so I always, you know, cater to certain ones that I see, not potential, but just like I see how they are and how I was when I was a student. And I'm like, oh, maybe this could help them. So, but anyways, here pulling up to work. It's a pretty good day, I would say. I don't think we have any maintenance and stuff going on as far as systems, so it should be good. And even on the group chat, there's nothing about any machines being broken down, so hopefully it should be good. Let's see, let's take a gander in the waiting room for EMSs. One EMS, not too bad, I'll take it. Waiting room looks pretty chill. The parking lot looks pretty empty, so that's always good, you know, less NPCs up in there. But yeah, hopefully it should be a good night. I'll check with y'all in the morning. Night. It was okay night. I will say we had a little bit more portables than we usually do. But overall, not too bad. Nothing crazy happening. I was surprised. We were blessed with the good doctor again. But I think today was his last night for sure. Tomorrow night, I'm working with another night tech. So it should be hopefully another pretty smooth day, hopefully. Usually the last 2 nights, Tuesday's pretty chill. Wednesday, the list is pretty small, but it's just like always random stuff happens on the last night. I don't know, it's just something notorious for the system to quit working or something to go on. The only thing that happened was we were super full that they keep on putting stretchers all over our portables, and they ended up like breaking one of the outlets where we charge our portables. So it's a constant battle we deal with. It's mainly the new nurses, because they hire like every couple of months. You get like new nurses who don't know, or the cleaning people that don't know, and they end up putting stretchers and stuff all over around your Xray machines, and that's a constant battle. So, but besides that, it was pretty chill. Nothing much to report. Once again, here in a little bit, gonna go home, start cooking my rice, go to the gym, and then run it back again. It's just simple as that. Not too much to it. And I think this week I have the kids meet the teacher. So depending on what day that falls, I might have to go to sleep or wake up a little bit early. We'll see how that falls. So, a lot more traffic heading home since, you know, back to school, everyone, the 8 a.m. rush and stuff. More accidents always happening. And then everyone's trying to get into the rhythm. So we'll see how that unfolds. But anyways, everything was good. Good night. Probably today, I would say, probably still sitting around the same 75 as far as energy wise. Felt it was pretty smooth. Nothing too bad. All right, now I'm probably sitting about 75 energy wise. Went to sleep like at 12:30. Woke up at 4:30-ish. And it should be a good day. So far, it's not raining. I didn't check what doctor was going to be in there to the emergency room. Typically, today's are pretty chill. And it's mainly, once again, in the morning time, the rush. Everyone trying to go into work. And some of the schools are starting up, so that'll cause more traffic and potential car crashes and stuff like that. Typically today, the morning ports it can be kind of short, or there'll be a lot of add-ons, because usually the orders drop. Like the order set will drop, like as far as like the order 7, and then after 7, if they're still intubated, either the residents or the doctor will forget to put them in, or they will put it in, or there'll be a bunch of duplicates you gotta cancel. It's just extra stuff we gotta do. So far, there's no maintenance and stuff happening as far as like downtime, so we should be good. Then, hopefully, should be a good night. Here we are, back on the grind. Another night, another dollar. Me personally, I really do genuinely love my job. I may look tired and I may like seem sometimes the way I be talking about the radiology world like it suck. It don't. At times I have to put myself in perspective of when Miguel was a young kid, because I have kids. I have two, as you can see back there, and I look at them and then it kind of like teleports me to when I was a little kid, or just remembering how I grew up, because I grew up really, really poor. Like, both immigrant parents came pursuing the American dream, and apparently I'm the one who's living it, right? I got a college degree, and in my parents' eyes, I made it. And for the most part, you can say, yeah, you're doing pretty good. I will say that. You're not gonna be poor, you're not gonna be rich, you're just gonna be doing pretty good. And I will sometimes pull up to work and it will be a bunch of stuff going on, or the system will be down, or whatever stuff people complain about the radiology world. And then I stop to think about other people who maybe don't have degrees, maybe have other jobs that are like super physical, super, like they're out in the heat, they're a bunch of stuff. Or even just like with my parents, like my dad's a welder and my mom cleans houses, and I'll be thinking about what they do for way less money and how hard they work, and then it puts in perspective. I'm like, I got it pretty good. A lot of people just in my field will complain about any little thing. Like, I was in a position where I worked with the manager before he became the manager, and he was like the lead tech, and the stuff people would complain about in our own department, and I'm like, it would get to the point where I'm like, bro, just push the button and go home. Like, why are y'all complaining about every single thing? And then he's like, Miguel, that's what I'm saying, this job ain't that hard. Just like people will find any reason to complain. And I mean, I guess if that's your thing and that's how you vent and whatever, I guess, but like it's really not that hard. Like, I put in perspective of like all the other jobs I've had before this, and I'm like, it's pretty easy. Like, yes, we have shitty equipment, and yes, regular NPCs sometimes are assholes, or sometimes you'll get into it with doctors or with nurses or whatever, but at the end of the day, like, the job itself is not that bad. And I genuinely enjoy bones, and I do love it. Like, every time I'll shoot an X-ray, I'll look at it, and then I remember when I was a student and the first time I shot an X-ray, and then I was like, dang, you out here living Miguel's dream when he's in college. And a part of me, regardless of what happens, I'm like, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good gig. Maybe I'm just fortunate enough to have a good place to work, because I know there's other places where other people complain about, or I hear stories from other people that move jobs to our hospital, and I'm like, I have a pretty good job. I should be always thankful and blessed to be in the position I'm in. And for me, I'll never take I always like look at the next like group of students, and I always try to give them like all the knowledge, all the stuff I had, because like a majority of the stuff, there's been times where I hear students complain about other sites or other hospitals and the stuff they tell me, and I was like, why are people like this? Like, it's not that hard. It's like, it's a very chill job. Or sometimes the job will be stressful, and then they'll take it out on the students, or they'll be mean to the students, and I'm like, bro, I don't think in my mind there could be anything that can cause, like, yeah, it may be an inconvenience, or like it could be more work, or slightly make your job slightly harder if the student messes up and you got to fix it. But like, everything can be fixed as long as the radiologist doesn't read it or doesn't pick it up. You can technically fix everything. It may take a little bit of work, but like there's no reason why it can be hard. Can't say that for nurses. My lady is a nurse. Oof. The stuff she tells me, the stuff I see at work, I was like, couldn't be me. Never. But that's her thing. I mean, I don't know. I couldn't do it, but apparently she loves it. And majority of the times, just where I work at and I see the nurses, I think there's like maybe 2 that are genuinely happy and like super like enjoy it, and they're always just like, you know, living their best life. And then a bunch of the other nurses, or who knows, maybe it's just because it's night shift, a bunch of the other nurses they'll always be telling me stuff or venting and complaining and stuff about the same patients we got to do, and I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm done with my job. 30 seconds in and out. Deuces. See you tomorrow on the next one report. I don't know. We've had, I think, like only 1 or 2 nurses that be like, that is genuinely considering switching teams to Xray. So, you know. But I don't know, like they have to learn so much stuff that at that point, if I had to commit so much to a career to switch teams, I was like, genuinely, it gotta be super bad, or the job sucks, or I don't know, that you would consider going back through school to get another degree. I don't know. In Miguel's case, I would maybe, if I need more money, or if later on Miguel gets tired of Xray, I may pursue CAT scan, or I may, another one was Nukemed. I wanted to do that one because it just sounded cool until I saw what they did, and then I was like, I don't know if I can do it. This seems kind of a little bit boring to me. Or I gave up hope when the technologist, who's been there for like 20 plus years, when the radiologist asked him a simple question and he gave a result, like he told the radiologist something, and the radiologist looked at him and then looked at me, and then it was just like, you could tell that whoever the tech was didn't know what he was saying or what he was doing. Because if you're not familiar with Nukemed, essentially you inject the patients with a radioactive material, and for their scans you put them next to like essentially the X-ray board, and the radiation, you know, wherever it goes will, you know, show up on the picture, but it'll look hella grainy. I remember as a student looking at it, and they're like, this is a kidney, this is that, and I was like, I don't see nothing. But apparently the tech sent the image upside down, and I was looking at it and I'm like, I couldn't even tell. And the radiologist was like trying to explain to the tech, who've been doing it for supposedly 20 plus years, about why it was upside down, and they got into it. And I was there as a student looking, and I was like, in my head, I'm like, I'm pretty sure the dude who reads it could tell if something's upside down. But apparently it became a big thing. But I don't know. Same thing with ultrasound. I respect people who do ultrasound because I have family members who do it. But a part of me is like, I don't know if I could do it either, because that one to me also seemed boring. Like I remember going through the rotation and sitting there for like 30 to 40 minutes on them doing some kind of, I think it was some kind of Venus Doppler thing. And I was just like, did a bunch of gray smushy stuff. And I was like, this is not for me. I couldn't do that either. I mean, they get paid more money than we do, but they have to deal with giving a tiny like report on their exam at the end, which that one to me, I was like, I don't know if Miguel could do that, because like night 7, sleep deprived, some of the times you shoot the X-ray and I'll look at it and I'll be like, I have to like double look at it and I'll be like, is everything there? Cool. Thank God I don't got diagnosed this patient because I'm barely awake. Like, to be able to, like, write a report of what I see so the radiologist can be like, yeah, or this is other stuff, whatever. And I was like, couldn't be for me. But anyways, getting off the tangent here. For right now, it looks like we have 0 EMSs, so that's always good. We do have a bunch of police cars. So you typically with that is either someone from jail got brought in, an inmate, and they need some X-rays done, or there was some kind of car crash or gun shooting and they're here to investigate. Typically that's what it means. The waiting room, I didn't even pay attention. The waiting room, I mean the lot's pretty empty, so it should hopefully be pretty chill. And today I'm working with another night tech, so it should be a good night. Shouldn't have no problems getting the job done, right? A part of me, like I have with me my little marker. Let me show you. So here's here Miguel, the radiologist science, and has the school and stuff. And I look at it, and every time I look at it before I go to work. And when I moved to the city, I remember they had a little sign that they were hiring medical people. And I remember looking at my dad, and this was like me in high school. I was like, Dad, you see that sign? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, they better have it when I graduate from school, because that's where I want to work at. And he just laughed. And here I am, blessed that I was able to get a job at this place. And I'm living Miguel's dream. I think I'm doing pretty good. Cannot complain. Cannot complain at all. Now, as far as like, some people are like, oh, Miguel, are you making YouTube monies? No. There's no YouTube money. This is just giving back to the community and just educating people in the beautiful world of radiology, because there's so much stuff that doesn't get talked about at school, or people on the internet are like, give me monies and I'll give you the knowledge. Which, I mean, if that's your thing, cool. But to be honest with you, I don't think there's any aspect of this field that you can't find on the internet, just even educational wise. Like, you unless it's like the new information, the new textbooks, the new stuff, the main foundation of what we do, you can find someone like me. If you don't like me, you can find anyone else. You can find all the knowledge on this beautiful field. You shouldn't have to really pay for any of it. The only paying I would highly recommend anyone is you pay for school, and then maybe you need to pay for some books to get you prepared for, you know, the board. Besides that, you really don't have to pay for anything else. As far as like people like me, you're just giving you knowledge. Like, it shouldn't, like, I will never charge you for none of the knowledge. Like, I'm just giving back, because when I was a student, I couldn't find no videos, no nothing, no one on social media doing, just educating people on this stuff. And I feel like a part of me wanted to give back and just share my experience. I mean, even on YouTube, I've been doing it for like 4 years. 4.5 years. I can't remember. There's no money in this. I'm just here giving back to the knowledge and take you along with the journey. Like, that's really about it. Because like, I remember as a student wanting to know stuff, and some of the stuff your teachers can't really talk about it because like the school has a certain way they want the professors to be, and some of the places the people who are techs don't really share knowledge, or they just kind of, you know, they won't, like, some of them aren't as cool. I'm just here to give the knowledge unbiased, just keep it real with y'all and educate you on what I see and what could maybe help you. Even if it's one person, even if it's thousands of people. Like, I'm just here giving out the knowledge, and I'll post daily videos to educate, regardless of how many views. If I can just help one person, that's more than enough for me. So here to go clock in, about to push the button, and we'll see you on the next clip. Oh, finished another night. Finished. It was a pretty chill night. Nothing too bad. Way less morning reports than I thought. We had like one pretty bad hip fracture on the floor that surprised us. And then let's see what else we had. Everything was working fine. There was no problems. As far as like how tired I am, I would probably say I'm sitting at 70. I will say that last 2 hours, or just even the last hour, the longer, like the deeper you are into your 7, that last hour takes so long. And that's like where we have the majority of the people coming in, the, you know, daytime people waking up, having all their symptoms show up, and they'll show up at the hospital around 7 o'clock always. And then, you know, then we got to do it. But nothing too crazy, nothing too bad. So I think the next night, which will be my last night, should be quite interesting, because it's always up for grabs. As far as like anything can happen, the machines start acting up, network, anything, literally anything can happen. So it'll be quite interesting how that goes. But as far as Miguel, finished work, everything's good. Once again, run it back again. Gonna go to the gym, eat some breakfast, probably take care of more dad duties, and then, well, then I got a meal prep, so I forgot to cook some, like I didn't cook enough food, which is the worst. The worst thing that can happen from Miguel, especially trying to get shredded, is not cooking enough chicken for the week, and then you fall short. Like, I don't mind cooking, but when you gotta do it on your 7, and especially towards the end, it's just like, you're just giving up more sleep for food. I think it's tedious. So that's probably another hour-ish just gone from my sleep. So I'll probably end up, if I had to guess, sleeping, probably gonna be like 1 or 1:30. And then we'll wake up at 4:30, probably, if I had to guess. So hopefully it shouldn't be too bad. Night 7, a few energy drinks. Yeah, you know, you'll be good. You'll be good, because I don't think this off, like my 7 off, I don't think I have any overtime scheduled, because I was in Cancun and I didn't pick up any. I think I have like some overtime like towards the end of the month, but I really didn't pick up because, like, with the kids going back to school, meet the teacher, and all the other shenanigans that happens, kind of backed off a little bit, which is fine, you know, because I'd hate to be in a position where, like, you're needing to work overtime just to pay your basic bills, because then you'd be stressing every month. I would hate to be in that position. Thankfully, we're doing pretty good. That I don't have to worry about that. The only time that Miguel stresses about overtime is like if we're gonna go on vacation, or I know that we're gonna spend way more money than I'm used to, then I'll just try to pick up as much, and I'll be just trying to, you know, it can never hurt to have more money, especially like when you're going on trips, or if you know you have some upcoming expenses like insurance, like car insurance, especially if you're young. We pay ours like every 6 months, and like in Texas, I think for like me and my lady, we both drive pretty newer-ish, not newest. That's like I drive a 21 GMC, and she drives a Honda Pilot 2025. And I think for 6 months, ours is like almost 2,000 or 1,800, 1,900. I can't remember. It's kind of where the insurance price is, and that's almost like a whole paycheck just gone to that. So, but anyways, heading home, and now it's 5:22 p.m. Woke up probably sitting around 70-ish energy-ish. Went to sleep, I want to say like at 1. So from 1 to 5 is kind of what I slept. Not too good, but not too bad. Just, just okay. So headed in to what is considered a Friday night for me, which is Tuesday. Once again, today's always gonna be a random day. Anything can always happen today. It's notorious on your 7 that stuff will happen. You'll get like the worst patients, or you'll like get certain patients that you'll keep on shooting the X-ray and it don't look good, and it's just one of those. Something's always going on. It's notorious. Not just for me, other people on the opposite crew say the same thing on their days. Or theirs is like, I think on theirs it's the very first 7. So what I noticed on the opposite crew, everything that happens to me, which is chill at the beginning of the 7, and then at the end it's like chaotic. Same thing with them, but it's the opposite. They always deal on the opposite how their thing goes. And once again, it should be a pretty good night as far as like my coworker. That's another night shift tech who's been doing it the longest out of anyone. So should go pretty smoothly. Which I will say that when you work with other people, especially her who's been there for like, well, I'm gonna say like 6 or 7 years or 8, I'm trying to remember, but the amount of like connections or people she knows, because like usually me, I'm very antisocial. I don't really talk much. I just, go there, push the button, just go do X-rays. I don't really chit chat. I'm just there trying to, do my job type of deal. And for the most part, most people don't really bother me, don't really, like there's no really chit chatting, or they're like, the most chit chatting is like, oh, have you done this patient? Or hey, can you change it to stat so it gets a report? Or like, just the work stuff. There's no really chit-chatting going on. Maybe with a few people like rapid response or house supervisor, but for the most part, not really. When I work with other crew members, like we'll go to do a portable, like the morning port runs, which usually, depending how full, it may take like 30 minutes. It may take an hour. And depending on who I work with, you can sprinkle on an extra 10 minutes, up to 30 minutes of just chit chat, which is fine when the emergency room or anything else is pretty chill. Like, it's not a problem. But sometimes they'll start to chit chat, they'll talk, and then like several interactions, and you know how the typical, oh, you're working today, oh, I haven't seen you, da da da, because there's people who work on the opposite crew, like like the nurses have different schedules than we do, so like you don't see the same people always, and it will just like chew at the time. And sometimes what will happen is like, you try not to be rude, but sometimes I'll be like, we gotta go to the trauma room, we gotta do this, just to get them out of the chit chat, and then they'll end up looking at me like, did we really have to go? And I was like, no. And sometimes they won't know how to escape from chit chatting with them. They'll look at me, they'll give me a face, and then I'll be like, okay, it's up to Miguel to come up with something to get us out. Same thing even sometimes with the patients, because like certain patients will just like talk on and on and on and on, and sometimes like we ain't got nothing going on, it's like cool, whatever, just patient care talking. Other times we're like, bro, we gotta go, like we got this, we got that, we just, on to the next type of ordeal. But anyways, hopefully it should be a good night, so we're gonna pray for that. hopefully everyone in my domain, in my area, stay safe today. So check on you guys when I go to work. Alrighty folks, here heading into the night 7. I will say that depending on your sleep deprivation, or who knows, maybe it's night shift in general, the more night shift you work, and I can testify for someone who's had the crazy run of the 26 nights, we've done it for almost a year, we did it a while back, that your brain function and even like performance decreases. Like there's like probably, I'd say like a 20% decrease in at least cognitive, for sure. Because like there's been times where, especially night 7 is notorious for me, where I'll have to, like, after, if it's like, let's say it's a slow night, can't confirm nor deny naps, and we'll go do an X-ray, and I'll like look at the order, and I'll look at it, and it's like chest X-ray, and I'm like, okay. And then I'll double look, and I'll be squinting at it, and I'm like, did that say 1 view or did that say 2 view? Or sometimes like we'll do, like, I remember one time we had to do an ankle, night 7. It's probably like 5 a.m. and it was me and my partner, and we shot the AP good. And the lateral, I mean the oblique, usually we do internal oblique, unless for some reason we have to do external, which we never do, but you never know, right? And I remember the X-ray tech was telling the patient to do an external, and I looked at her and I was like, you gotta do it the other way. And she's like, what do you mean? He's like, it's the other way. And then she looked at me, she's like, are you sure? And I'm like, I'm pretty sure. So like, as long as you or the other person, whoever catches the mistake, you're good. There's been many times where we'll go do morning parts, and then I'll be like 350, and she's like, okay. And then she pulls up to 351, and if I didn't look and she didn't look, we would have gone to the wrong patient room. And so like there's little things that can kind of slip, and depending on sleep deprived, you always got to be safe, because at the end of the day, some mistakes, it's just literally just shoot it again. Other mistakes, it could essentially get you in big trouble. The worst thing that could always happen is you shoot the wrong patient, because you can't fix that. You can't take back the radiation you already gave someone, you know? Now I will say that is the only thing that a part of me always has in the back of my mind of night shift, because I don't think I've ever had to work, even when I worked a bunch of day shift, where that was a problem as much. It might be like the patients get moved around a lot, or they're like, it gets chaotic where mistakes can happen, but it's never been because Miguel's like brain function isn't optimal, or is it, I don't know. It's just part of the night shift. I think for me, I would be okay if I would probably, you know, get the good 8 to 6 hours of sleep. That maybe might not be a problem, but Miguel got a lot of stuff going on, so we don't get that always. Because even like when I'm off, I would say it would have to be about 2 to 3 days of just going back to regular sleeping at night when I'm off. Probably 2 to 3, for sure 4. By like when I get off Wednesday in the morning, I will say I'm probably fully recovered by Saturday or Sunday, like brain wise, like cognitive-ish. So that's something that you may have to deal with if you do night shift, but you know, I love it. Some people can't stand it. I would recommend just giving it a shot, because if you get a good doctor and you get a good shift and you work day shift, you'll be like, I don't know if you wanna, you know, come jump back. I know for sure when people are on call and the day shift has to come, they dread it so much, and it's really hard on them. I mean, depending on who you work with, I mean, just keeping it real with you. And I always tell my peeps, I'm like, I know for a fact that everyone has bad days. And maybe you're not good. Maybe you didn't sleep. Maybe you had whatever you have going on. And I'm always like, yo, especially if it's like day shift or someone else that's not usually my regular rotation, I'm like, yo, if we chilling and I'm okay, which most of the times I'm pretty okay. Like, can't confirm nor deny names. But like, if I see the other tech and they look like they struggling, I'm like, yo, okay, look, this is what I can do for you. At night, we have the morning ports is for sure got to be done. Everything else, most of the time, it'll be like a chest x-ray, it'll be whatever, and it'll just kind of whatever. I'm like, yo, if we chilling and we ain't got nothing going on, the ER's dead, I'm like, yo, can't confirm or deny naps, but you know, I'll stay watch. And you do whatever you gotta do over there, right? Get you a blanket, be chilling. And literally, I will say that if you do that, it always happens. You're either one of two moods. You wake up and you're like, "Hi, Miguel, I'm good, thank you," or you're like, "F these people, I'm mad," and you be cranky. It always happens every single time when I work with day shift at night and they didn't sleep or they had whatever's going on. It always happens. They'll be all like pissy and mad and don't want to do stuff. But it just makes me laugh because I'm like, yeah, it's just part of the night shift. Or they'll be mad that people keep on showing up, and I'm like, or they'll add on a bunch of stuff and they don't want to do it because they just want to go home and go to sleep. And I'm like, yup. Or they'll be mad at their own people. And it's almost like a taste of their own medicine, because day shift's notorious for being late, at least where I work at. And those days, the other crew has to work nights, and they're in day shift, and they'll be heated when they show up late. And I'm like, it'd be your own team. I don't know what you tell them. Why are you mad at me? They'll be like hasty every minute, and I'm like, welcome to another day of night shift for our people, because y'all do this every single day. Certain people are more notorious. For me, it's 8 o'clock is when I have to technically clock in. I always show up 5 minutes early just so I don't have to deal with that. So. But anyways, no EMSs, no police cars, no nothing. ER looks pretty chill, so hopefully it'll be a good night. Alrighty, folks, we have made it to Friday for Miguel. Night 7 has been completed. Success. Not too many morning ports, few add-ons. And once again, always random stuff happens on the last night. Like we had on the ICU elevator. Well, no, because they have like automatic doors they had to press or scan into. They quit working, and we were there for like a good 5 to 10 minutes trying to get to the ICU. So, always random shenanigans that be happening. But overall, it was not too bad. I did look on what happens for Miguel's future 7. I believe we have, once again, the good doctor for like a good 5 of those. So it should be another chill 7 in the future for Miguel. Should be pretty good. Now, as far as the rest of it, well, there's no really point of me showing you what I do when I'm off, because it's just typical prepping for the week, doing dad stuff. Just most of it's kind of just boring NPC task. It's nothing really excited. I mean, from time to time we'll go do stuff on the weekends with the nurse, go chill, enjoy life a little bit, spend a little bit of the Xray money. But for the most part, that really concludes the 7. Hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, we'll see you on the next one.